My child, stop right now and listen to me with your whole heart, because this is not a random moment. You didn't just stumble upon this message by accident. Heaven orchestrated this exact encounter at this precise second in time. I know you've been feeling it. The subtle shift in your spirit, the quiet unease that something was changing even before you could name it. That inner knowing wasn't paranoia. That was me speaking to you all along. And today, I'm pulling back the veil to reveal why certain people are no longer in your life. I need you to stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to tell you will shake you to your core. But it will also set you free in ways you never imagined possible. There were people who walked beside you, people whose faces you knew well, people you trusted with your dreams and secrets. But they were never really for you. They wore masks of friendship while carrying daggers of destruction in their hearts. They smiled in your face while plotting against your destiny. They learned your rhythms, studied your patterns, and memorized your vulnerabilities, not to protect you, but to exploit them when the time was right. You shared your deepest hopes with them, believing they were safe spaces, only to discover later that those same words became weapons used against you. They took your dreams and whispered doubts into the atmosphere around you. They heard your fears and used them as ammunition when you needed encouragement most. Every breakthrough you celebrated was met with hidden resentment in their eyes. A flicker of jealousy so subtle you convinced yourself you imagined it. But you didn't imagine it, my child. That discomfort in your chest, that sudden fatigue after spending time with them, that was your spirit warning you, screaming for attention through physical signals you couldn't ignore. They were draining your energy, stealing your joy, and blocking your blessings without you even realizing it. Like parasites feeding on your light, they grew stronger as you grew weaker. They positioned themselves as friends while secretly working to keep you small, comfortable, and far away from the destiny I had planned for you. Because here is the truth they tried to hide. They were threatened by your potential. The moment they saw you rising, something dark awakened in them. They couldn't stand watching you succeed where they had failed. So they made a decision to slow you down, to hold you back, to dim your light just enough to maintain their own illusion of superiority. But I saw everything, every hidden agenda, every calculated move, every whispered lie disguised as concern. I recorded it all. While you questioned whether you were being too sensitive, I was keeping score. While you made excuses for their behavior, I was preparing to intervene. And now, my child, I'm revealing why I removed them from your path. It wasn't punishment, it was protection. What felt like loss was actually liberation. What seemed like rejection was actually rescue. I didn't take them away to hurt you. I took them away to heal you, to save you from years of spiritual poisoning you couldn't see. Think about how you feel now compared to 6 months ago. Lighter, isn't it? More peaceful? That heaviness that once pressed on your chest, that constant background noise of anxiety, is fading because the source has been removed. Their presence was like a clogged pipe in your blessing stream, stopping the flow of favor I wanted to pour into your life. Every prayer that felt unanswered, every door that stayed closed, every opportunity that slipped away, many of those blockages were connected to their influence over you. But now, watch closely, because I'm about to do something incredible. The very blessings they tried to stop are coming back to you multiplied. The dreams they mocked are being restored with interest. The relationships they sabotaged are being replaced with connections that uplift and inspire. I'm not just replacing what was taken. I'm giving you double for your trouble. Where they planted confusion, I'm bringing clarity. Where they sowed doubt, I'm establishing unshakable faith. Where they created barriers, I'm opening doors no man can shut. Your season of breakthrough is accelerating faster than you expect. That project that has been stuck, it is about to move. That health issue that has lingered, healing is on its way. That financial pressure that has weighed you down, overflow is coming. They thought they could derail you, but they underestimated the power of divine intervention. They didn't realize that when you're covered by heaven, no weapon formed against you can prosper. They tried to build walls around your future, but I am breaking through with hurricane force. And here is what they never understood. Separation wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The space they left behind isn't empty. It is being filled with better things, greater people, higher opportunities. New friendships are forming with souls who genuinely want to see you win. Romantic connections are aligning with partners who honor your worth. Professional doors are opening to positions that match your true value. This isn't coincidence. It is divine realignment. I'm repositioning everything in your life to reflect your upgraded status. So if you're ready to embrace this revelation, if you're willing to accept that their departure was part of my perfect plan for your protection and advancement, I need you to take one simple step. Comment below, "I receive this truth," or "Thank you, God, for removing what harmed me." By doing this, you're agreeing with heaven's strategy, acknowledging my wisdom in pruning your life. Then, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another word. I want to speak directly to your spirit. Share this message with someone else who needs to hear that their loss was actually a divine setup for greater gain. Because here is the final promise. Peace is returning to your soul. Strength is flowing back into your bones. Purpose is becoming clearer every day. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. And everything that is meant for you will find you in perfect timing. Walk forward with confidence, my child, because I've already gone ahead of you to prepare the way. Now, let me go deeper into what you've been experiencing. My child, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and think back to the last time you were in their presence. Remember how you felt afterward? That strange emptiness, that inexplicable exhaustion, that foggy headedness that followed you for hours, sometimes days. That wasn't normal tiredness. That was spiritual drainage. They were siphoning your energy, drawing from your life force, like vampires in broad daylight, pretending to be friends while slowly sucking the vitality out of you. They would show up with their charming smiles and their carefully crafted words, making you believe they cared, making you believe they were invested in your success. But every conversation was a transaction designed to benefit them, not you. Every interaction was an opportunity for them to gather more intelligence about your life, your plans, your weaknesses. They were building a psychological profile of you, not because they loved you, but because they needed to know exactly where to strike when the time came. You see, envy is a powerful motivator, and theirs was deep-rooted. They watched you grow, they watched you evolve, they watched you become more of who you were created to be, and it tortured them. Because while you were ascending, they were stagnating. While you were breaking through limitations, they were reinforcing their own. While you were embracing new levels of consciousness, they were clinging to old patterns of failure. And instead of using your journey as inspiration, they used it as fuel for their bitterness. That is why they started whispering lies into your ear during moments of vulnerability. That is why they began questioning your decisions, casting doubt on your abilities, minimizing your achievements. They couldn't bear to see you shine, so they tried to dim your light. They couldn't handle your success, so they attempted to sabotage your momentum. They weren't content with mediocrity themselves, so they worked tirelessly to pull you down to their level. But here is what they never realized: every negative word they spoke over you, every toxic thought they projected into your atmosphere, every destructive intention they held in their heart, they were actually cursing themselves. The law of spiritual return is absolute. Whatever you send out comes back to you multiplied. So all that negativity, all that jealousy, all that malice, it didn't just disappear into the void. It cycled back, it intensified, and it attached itself to them with a vengeance. That is why you started noticing changes in their lives. That is why their relationships began to crumble. That is why their finances collapsed. That is why their health deteriorated. Not because I was punishing them, but because they were reaping what they sowed. The seeds of destruction they planted in your direction turned around and took root in their own soil. The traps they set for you became the pits they fell into themselves. And now, my child, I want you to understand something crucial. Their removal from your life wasn't just about protecting you from them. It was also about protecting them from themselves. If they had stayed in your orbit any longer, their corruption would have spread further. Their darkness would have grown deeper, and their ultimate downfall would have been even more catastrophic. By separating them from you, I was actually extending mercy to them, giving them space and time to confront their issues before it was too late. But make no mistake, this was primarily for your benefit. You were on the verge of a major breakthrough, standing at the threshold of your destiny. And they were the final obstacle. They were the last stronghold of resistance, trying to keep you bound to old patterns of limitation. They represented the final test of your discernment, the ultimate challenge to your faith, the closing chapter of a season you were meant to leave behind. When I removed them, I wasn't just taking away a person. I was removing an entire system of oppression that had been operating in your life. I was dismantling a network of negative influences that had been working together to suppress your potential. I was clearing the atmospheric interference that had been distorting your spiritual signal. I was restoring your natural frequency so you could finally transmit and receive on the correct wavelength. That is why you're starting to notice synchronicities everywhere. That is why doors are opening effortlessly. That is why ideas are flowing freely. That is why opportunities are presenting themselves without effort. Because the static has been removed, because the blockage has been cleared, because the interference has been eliminated. You're now operating in alignment with your true purpose, moving in harmony with the divine current of your destiny. But let me warn you, there may still be residual effects. Just because they're no longer physically present doesn't mean their influence vanished instantly. Spiritual toxins linger. Emotional imprints remain. Psychological patterns persist. That is why you might still experience moments of doubt, flashes of insecurity, waves of uncertainty. But these are not signs of failure. They're symptoms of healing. They're the final contractions before the new birth. They're the last tremors before the earthquake of transformation settles. This is the process of purification. As their contamination leaves your system, you'll experience withdrawal symptoms. You'll feel emotional detoxification. You'll go through periods of adjustment as your psyche recalibrates to the absence of their toxicity. But don't fear these moments. Don't interpret them as setbacks. See them for what they truly are. Evidence that the cleansing is working. Proof that the healing is progressing. Confirmation that the restoration is underway. And while we're on this subject, let me address something else that has been weighing on your heart. You've probably been wondering, why did I allow them into your life in the first place? Why did I permit this pain? Why did I tolerate this betrayal, my child? I allowed them because you needed to learn discernment. I permitted their presence because you needed to develop spiritual sight. I tolerated their influence because you needed to recognize the difference between genuine love and counterfeit affection. They were a necessary contrast, a required opposition, a vital foil in the story of your growth. Without their darkness, you wouldn't fully appreciate your light. Without their deception, you wouldn't value authenticity. Without their manipulation, you wouldn't cherish integrity. They served a purpose in your development, even though their intentions were evil. I took something meant for harm and used it for good. I transformed their malevolent agenda into a catalyst for your awakening. But their season has ended. Their assignment is complete. Their role in your story has concluded. They fulfilled their function as a mirror, reflecting back to you aspects of yourself that needed attention. They acted as a trigger, activating parts of your consciousness that required healing. They served as a benchmark, helping you define what you will and will not tolerate in your life. Now it is time for elevation. Now it is time for expansion. Now it is time for acceleration. The lessons have been learned. The wisdom has been gained. The strength has been acquired. You no longer need the classroom they provided because you've graduated. You've passed the test. You've overcome the challenge. You've conquered the trial. And now I'm calling you forward into a new dimension of existence. This next phase won't require the same level of vigilance. You won't need to constantly guard your energy. You won't have to monitor every relationship for hidden agendas. You won't be forced to question everyone's motives. Because your discernment has been sharpened. Your intuition has been refined. Your spiritual senses have been heightened. You can now detect falsehood from a distance. You can sense deception before it reaches you. You can identify toxicity before it contaminates your space. That is the gift they ultimately gave you, the gift of awareness. Through their betrayal, you gained insight. Through their treachery, you developed wisdom. Through their dishonesty, you learned truth. The very thing they tried to use against you has become your greatest protection. The wound they inflicted has become your strongest armor. The pain they caused has become your deepest strength. And now, my child, I want you to look ahead, because what is coming for you will make everything you've been through seem like preparation. The favor I'm releasing into your life will dwarf every setback they engineered. The breakthroughs approaching will make every delay they caused seem insignificant. The abundance flowing toward you will render every limitation they imposed completely irrelevant. Get ready for divine compensation. Prepare for supernatural restoration. Anticipate miraculous multiplication. Everything they tried to steal, destroy, or delay is coming back to you. Not just restored, but enhanced. Not just returned, but improved. Not just recovered, but elevated to a higher dimension of manifestation. Your career is about to shift into hyperdrive. Your creativity is being unlocked in unprecedented ways. Your influence is expanding beyond your current imagination. People you've never met are already responding to your energy. Opportunities you can't yet see are already aligning in your favor. The very atmosphere around you is charged with potential, vibrating with possibility, saturated with promise. And in the realm of relationships, a new quality of connection is emerging. No longer will you attract users, takers, or manipulators. Instead, you'll draw in givers, builders, and authentic souls. Your circle is being purified. Your tribe is being refined. Your community is being upgraded to match your new frequency. Genuine love is finding you. True partnership is approaching. Deep friendship is forming. All of it happening naturally, effortlessly, divinely orchestrated. Health-wise, healing is accelerating. Old conditions are dissolving. Chronic issues are resolving. Vitality is increasing. Energy levels are rising. Your body is remembering its original design of wholeness. Your cells are recalling their blueprint of perfection. Every system is coming back into balance. Every function is optimizing. You're not just recovering. You're evolving into a higher state of biological excellence. Financially, abundance is shifting gears. Scarcity mindsets are evaporating. Lack consciousness is disappearing. Prosperity awareness is taking root. Multiple streams of income are developing. Unexpected sources of revenue are emerging. Financial breakthroughs are occurring with surprising ease. The wealth that was blocked is now flowing freely. The resources that were withheld are now pouring in. You're moving from survival to supremacy, from limitation to liberty, from struggle to sovereignty. All of this is happening because the obstruction has been removed. The bottleneck has been cleared. The dam has burst. The floodgates are open. The reservoir of blessing is overflowing. And it is all coming to you because you stayed faithful. Because you endured the trial. Because you maintained your integrity. Because you refused to become what they were. Because you chose love over bitterness. Because you selected forgiveness over retaliation. Because you embraced growth over stagnation. That is why I removed them. Not just to protect you from them, but to position you for what is coming. Not just to rescue you from their influence, but to release you into your inheritance. Not just to separate you from their toxicity, but to sanctify you for your destiny. This wasn't merely an act of removal. It was a strategic relocation. I moved them out so I could move you up. I displaced them so I could promote you. I terminated their access so I could expand your authority. And now, my child, I need you to do something important. If you felt this message resonate in your spirit, if you've recognized these truths in your own experience, I need you to make a declaration. Comment below, I receive this revelation, or thank you, God, for clearing my path. By doing this, you're agreeing with heaven's strategy. You're acknowledging divine wisdom. You're accepting spiritual authority. You're validating heavenly intervention. Then, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another word. I want to speak directly to your spirit. These messages are lifelines. These revelations are roadmaps. These words are compasses guiding you through the wilderness of uncertainty into the promised land of fulfillment. Share this message with someone else who needs to hear that their loss was actually a divine setup for greater gain. Someone who is grieving a relationship that ended. Someone who is confused about why people left their life. Someone who is struggling to understand God's purpose in their pain. Be the vessel of revelation. Be the carrier of truth. Be the messenger of hope. Because here is the final promise. Peace is returning to your soul. Strength is flowing back into your bones. Purpose is becoming clearer every day. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. And everything that is meant for you will find you in perfect timing. Walk forward with confidence, my child, because I've already gone ahead of you to prepare the way.